Hello everyone. Today we'll solve MCQ for March 23 QP 22. Substance M is a solid at 30 degrees Celsius. The substance is heated to 80 degrees Celsius and its temperature measured as it cools down to room temperature. The cooling curve is shown. So here you can see the curve has been shown, okay, between which time is substance M freezing. So as it is mentioned in the question that the solid M is freezing is solid at 30 degrees Celsius, which comes somewhere between 20 and 40. So here we can see, so this area where it is already converted into solid. So it is frozen there. Now they are asking where it will be freezing. So the process of freezing will occur between Q and R. So B is the correct answer. Which gas has the fastest rate of diffusion? So the options given are argon, C2H6, hydrochloric acid, and H2S. In this case, we have to find out the atomic mass for the element and the molar mass for all the compounds given here. The one whose molar mass is less will have the fastest rate of diffusion. So here we get the answer C2H6, which is having the fastest rate of diffusion. There are two stable isotopes of bromine. The mass number of isotope 1 is 79. The mass number of isotope 2 is 81. Which statement is correct? The isotopes have the same number of neutrons. No, isotopes have different number of neutrons. The isotopes have different chemical properties. No, the isotopes have similar chemical properties. The isotopes have different number of protons. Again, no, they have same number of protons but different number of neutrons. And last is the isotopes have the same number of outer shell electrons. So yes, it is correct. So isotopes are of the same element but have only different neutrons. Which statement about ions and ionic bond is correct? Bromine atom forms negatively charged bromide ions. Ionic bonds formed between elements in group 7 of the periodic table. No, ionic bonds are not formed between group 7, but yes, group 7 elements can form ionic bonds with group 1 element. Positive ions are formed when atoms lose protons. No, atoms does not lose protons, they lose electrons. Potassium iodide contains negatively charged potassium ions. This is wrong because potassium is a metal and it will have a positive charge. So option A is correct where bromine atom forms negatively charged bromide ions. Part of periodic table is shown. Which type of chemical bonding is present in oxide of F and in the oxide of G? So you can see F is in group 2, that is metals, and here G is in group 7. No, it is in group 6. Okay. So the right hand side is of non-metals and the left hand side is metals. So oxide of F will be ionic in nature, okay, as it is the metallic side, and oxide of G will be covalent in nature. So it is option C. Element X and Y react to form a compound. Element X loses 2 electrons and element Y gains 1 electron. What is the charge on the ions of elements X and Y and what is the formula of the compound? Now, as they have given that X loses 2 electrons. Okay, so when any element loses electrons, it gains a positive charge. So as it is losing 2 electrons, it will have plus 2 charge. So we have option A and B for plus 2 charge. In case of element Y, as it gains electron, it will gain a negative charge. Now, Y needs only 1 electron and X loses 2 electrons. Okay, so X needs 2 elements of Y. Okay, so the formula will be XY2. So it will be option B. Which statement about graphite explains why it is used as an electrode? It contains ions. It has a giant covalent structure. It is a metal. No, it is not a metal. It is made up of carbon. It is a non-metal. It has mobile electrons. So this is the correct option. Electricity is conducted because of free electrons or mobile electrons. Methane burns in air to form carbon dioxide and water. What is the balanced equation for this reaction? So we know that hydrocarbons burn in air and form carbon dioxide and water, okay, which is already given. Now here you have to find the balanced equation. So here in this case, B is the correct option. Okay, if you will count the number of hydrogens, oxygens on both the sides, then you will understand that this is the proper balanced equation. In other equations, it is not balanced. The equation for the thermal decomposition of sodium hydrogen carbonate is shown. 2NaHCO3 gives Na2CO3 plus H2O plus CO2. The MR of sodium hydrogen carbonate is 84. MR of Na2CO3 is 106. In an experiment, 2.1 gram of sodium hydrogen carbonate is heated, but not all of it decomposes. All of the carbon dioxide is collected and measured at room temperature and pressure. The total volume of CO2 produced is 0.21 dmq. The volume of 1 mole of a gas at room temperature and pressure is 24 dmq. Which statement is correct? Now in this case, they have said that 2.1 gram of sodium hydrogen carbonate is heated, but it does not decompose totally. Okay, so we will find the moles of or the mass of Na2CO3 using the volume of carbon dioxide. So for that, first we have to get the moles of carbon dioxide. We will get it by moles is equal to volume upon 24. So 0.21 upon 24 will give us 0.00875. Okay. Now we will take a ratio of Na2CO3 is to CO2, which is a 1:1 ratio. You can see in the equation also. There is no number written in front of Na2CO3 and no number in front of CO2. So it will be 1:1 ratio. So Na2CO3 will also have the same moles 0.0785. Okay. Now how we will find out the mass? So moles multiplied by molar mass. 0.087 multiplied by 106 will give us 0.93 grams. So option A is correct. An electrolysis experiment is done using carbon electrodes. Hydrogen and oxygen are formed at the electrodes. What is the electrolyte? Okay, so here we have two products, hydrogen and oxygen. Okay, so now first is aqueous copper sulfate. So in case of copper sulfate, at cathode we will get copper and at anode we will get oxygen. So that will not be the option. In second, we have hydrochloric acid. So again on cathode we will have hydrogen and on anode as it is a concentrated solution it will be chlorine. Next is dilute aqueous sodium chloride. So in this case at cathode we will have hydrogen as sodium is more reactive than hydrogen it will stay in the solution and we have hydrogen as the product. And as it is a dilute solution, instead of chlorine, we will get oxygen as the product. So C is the correct option. Concentrated aqueous copper to sulfate is electrolyzed using copper electrodes. Which ionic half equation describes the reaction taking place at cathode? Now, in this case, they have asked about the equation at cathode. Okay, now when we are electrolyzing copper to sulfate, at cathode we get copper and at anode we get oxygen. Okay, as sulfate does not form as a product. So as cathode we get copper, we will have this Cu2 plus 2 electrons. Copper will gain electrons, that is copper cations will gain electrons to form copper. So it is option D. When powdered sodium carbonate and aqueous ethanoic acid are mixed, the temperature of mixture falls. Which statement about this reaction is correct? The reaction is endothermic and delta H is negative. Now, as they have said that the temperature falls, okay, the temperature falls, it means the temperature decreases. The temperature decreases in an endothermic reaction. Okay, so definitely the reaction is endothermic. So we have option A and B as endothermic. Now the value for delta H for an endothermic reaction is always positive. So the option is B. Next question. Magnesium powder reacts with an excess of dilute HCl and to produce H2 gas. Which statement about this reaction are correct? The smaller the particles of magnesium powder, the more slowly the hydrogen is produced, which is wrong. The smaller the particles, faster is the rate of reaction. The higher the temperature, the faster the magnesium powder disappears, which is true. The lower the concentration of dilute HCl, the faster the rate of reaction, which is again wrong. We need a higher concentration for the reaction to be faster. The faster the magnesium powder disappears, the faster is the rate of reaction. So it is option C, 2 and 4. The reaction between two aqueous compounds X and Y is slow and exothermic. The graph shows how the rate of this reaction changes with time. A student suggests that the rate of reaction decreases with time because the activation energy decreases, the speed of the molecules of X and Y decreases, the concentration of both X and Y decreases with time. So as the time passes, the reactants are reacting with each other, and because the reactants are converted into products, that is why their concentration decreases. Okay, so that is why option D is the correct answer. Hydrogen reacts with iodine to form hydrogen iodide. H2 plus I2 gives 2HI. Which statement explains why the reaction is faster when the pressure is increased at constant temperature? At higher pressure, the molecules are moving faster. No, because the molecules are very close to each other. At higher pressure, more of the molecules have the required activation energy. At higher pressure, the molecules are close together. Yes, it is true. At higher pressure, the molecules collide more frequently. Yes, because the molecules are closer to each other and they have higher frequency of colliding with each other. So it is 3 and 4. Ammonium sulfate is used as a fertilizer. It is made from ammonia and sulfuric acid. The dash is made by the dash process in which dash is used as a catalyst. Which words complete gaps 1, 2 and 3? So here they have given us the combination of the process and the catalyst. Okay. So first is ammonia, second contact. So ammonia is not made by contact process. So first option is wrong. In case of second option, ammonia is correct. It is made by Haber process is also correct. But the catalyst uses not vanadium oxide. Okay. In third option, sulfuric acid is made by contact process and the catalyst uses also vanadium oxide. So that is correct. The reversible reaction shown takes place in a closed system at constant temperature. P plus Q plus R reversibly gives S plus T. When the reaction has reached equilibrium, more T is added. After the addition of T, which other substances increase in concentration? Okay. Now, T is on the product side. When the product is increased, okay, definitely to balance the equilibrium will shift towards left hand side, that is on reactant side. So definitely P, Q and R concentration will increase. So it is option C. In which equation is the underlying substance acting as a reducing agent? So in the first equation you can see 3CO plus Fe2O3 forms 2Fe plus 3CO2. Carbon monoxide is gaining the oxygen from iron, so it is reducing iron oxide. Okay. In second equation, CO2 plus CO. Here you can see that carbon is both reduced and oxidized. CuO plus H2 gives Cu plus H2O. And last is calcium oxide plus H2O, which forms calcium hydroxide. So option D is not the correct option. CuO plus H2. Now here, CuO is acting as an oxidizing agent. Okay. So it is providing oxygen to hydrogen. So in option A, carbon monoxide is gaining the oxygen and it is reducing iron oxide. That is why it is the correct option. An aqueous solution reacts with a solid. The products are an alkaline gas, a salt, and water. What are the aqueous solution and the solid? Now, as the products are an alkaline gas, salt, okay, and water. First is sodium hydroxide and magnesium carbonate. Now, in this case, magnesium carbonate cannot be in, cannot form a gas. Okay, so it must be ammonium chloride. Next is a salt. Now, we have two options with ammonium chloride, C and D. In C, they have given HCl. HCl is not a salt. Okay, so the other option is sodium hydroxide, which is the correct one. Butanoic acid partially dissociates in aqueous solution. Which row about butanoic acid is correct? In the question itself, they have said that it partially dissociates. Okay, it means it is having a lower pH. Sorry, it is having a higher pH. Now, the pH given here, we have 3, 5, 8 and 10. Now, 3 is bit acidic in nature. We have 5, which is less acidic or weakly acidic. Next, we are having 8 and 10, which are basic in nature. Okay. So, we have this option B, which is having pH 5 and that turns colorless. Copper sulfate is prepared by adding excess copper to carbonate to sulfuric acid. Why is an excess of copper to carbonate added? While performing crystallization or making any salt, we add excess of this amount because to ensure that all the acids should be reacted properly. That is why option B is the correct option. Part of the periodic table is shown which elements has 2 electrons in its outer shell and 3 electron shells. So in this case, you can see that here on the left of the periodic table, they have given metals. Okay. Now, when they talk about 2 electrons in the outer shell, so it is group 2. From group, we understand, from group number, we understand how many electrons are present in the outer shell. So it must be from group 2. We have again B and C in that. But again, it has 3 electron shells. Okay. So the number of shells we understand by the period number. So here we have this period number 3, which is having 3 electron shells present. So the correct option is C. Element in group 1 and group 2 show the same trends in their reactions with water and in their density. Which row shows how the properties of barium compare with calcium, reaction with water and density. Now, in group 2 is having similar chemical properties as group 1. So, in case of group 1, the reactivity increases as we go down the group. Also, the density increases as we go down the group. Okay, so same is considered for group 2. In this case, reaction with water will be faster as we go down the group. Okay, and the density will be higher. So it is option A. Which pair of compounds shows a transition elements in two different oxidation states? So Cr2O3 and Cr2SO4 thrice, Cu2O and CuCO3, ZnS and ZnSO4, NiO and NiNO3 twice. So in this case, first of all, we have to find all the oxidation number of all the compounds. Now here, for the first option, Cr2O3 and Cr2SO4 thrice, I have solved for Cr2O3. Now we have two chromium atoms, that is by 2. We have to find out oxidation number of chromium, so we have considered it as X. Plus, we have 3 atoms of oxygen, so 3 multiplied by oxidation number of oxygen, which is -2. The whole compound is equal to 0. Okay. Now 2x minus 6, that is 3 multiplied by minus 2 is minus 6, is equal to 0. Now x is equal to plus 3. Okay, so in this form, you can find out oxidation number of all the transition elements which is given in the option. So here I have done that. Now you can see in option A, B and A, C and D, all the transition elements are having same oxidation number. Whereas in option B, copper is having oxidation number plus 1 in Cu2O, and in copper carbonate it is having plus 2. So the correct option is B. Which description of brass is correct? Now, first of all, brass is an alloy. Okay, so what are alloy? Alloy are the mixture of different elements. So it is not a compound. Okay, that is why option A and B will not be considered. Now, a mixture, option C, a mixture of copper and zinc, and option D, a mixture of copper and tin. So we know that brass is made up of copper and zinc. So option C is correct. What is the symbol of the metal used in the manufacture of aircraft because of its low density? So it is aluminium. Which substance react to form hydrogen gas? Calcium and water, silver and dilute hydrochloric acid, magnesium and steam, zinc and dilute hydrochloric acid. Now in this case, calcium and water will react to form calcium hydroxide and uh, hydrogen gas. Okay. Silver and dilute HCl, according to reactivity series, silver will not react with acids. Okay. So option 2 is wrong. Magnesium and steam. So yes, magnesium, when it will react with steam, will form magnesium oxide and hydrogen gas. Zinc and dilute hydrochloric acid will react to form zinc chloride and H2 gas. So it is 1, 3 and 4. They all are correct. Coke and limestone are two raw materials used in the extraction of iron from hematite. Which type of reaction occurs when each substance is heated during the process? In this case, coke will coke will undergo redox reaction, okay, and limestone will undergo thermal decomposition to remove the impurities. So it is option B. Some combustion reactions produce pollutant gases. Which reaction produce a pollutant gas that is not present in clean air? So here they have given us different reactions. Now, in this case, the first option, CH4 plus 3O2 gives to CO plus 4H2. So the first product is carbon monoxide, which is not present in the clean dry air. In second option, water is present. Okay, moisture we have seen. In next option, that is C plus O2, that is carbon dioxide. Yes, we have carbon dioxide in the clean dry air. Last is N2 plus O2, which gives 2NO, which is nitrogen oxide, which is again not present in the clean dry air. So it is option 1 and 4. Option B. 1 mole of alkane Y produces 72 dm cube of carbon dioxide when burned in excess oxygen, measured at room temperature and pressure. What is Y? Butane, ethane, methane, or propane? Now, in this case, they have given us the volume, that is 72 dm cube. Okay, so by using moles is equal to volume upon 24, we'll find the mole. So it is 72 upon 24, which gives us 3. Okay, so now it will give us 3 CO2 plus water. So 3 CO2 consists of 3 carbon atoms and 3 to the 6 oxygen atoms. So 3 carbon atom compound we are having is propane. The structure of organic compound X is shown. What is X? Now here you can see this is an ester. C double bond O. O is the functional group of esters. Okay. Now on the right hand side we are having this group, that is methyl, and this group comes from alcohol side. Okay, this comes from alcohol, and the other side, the left hand side, okay, this one, it comes from carboxylic acid. So while naming esters, first we write the name of the compound that comes from alcohol. So here we have only one carbon atom here, so it will be methyl. Okay, so we have option C and option D with methyl. And on the other hand, we are having one carbon here and the second carbon. So we have two carbon atoms. So that is why it is an ethanoate. So it is methyl ethanoate. Ester's name ending by OH. What is the structural formula of the compound formed in the addition reaction of propene with bromine? Now, in this case, when propene it reacts with bromine, the bromine is added to both the carbons which are having double bond between them. Okay, so in this react options, we have the first option itself CH3, CHBr, CH2Br. Okay. In the rest options, bromine is added in the second option to two different carbon atoms, which is not possible. In option C, only one bromine is added, which is again not possible. And in option D, bromine, again only one bromine is added randomly in the middle of the carbon. That is also not possible. So bromine is always added to that carbon atoms that contain double bond between them. Okay. Ethanol is produced industrially by fermentation and also by catalyzed addition reaction involving steam, which to describe one advantage of each process. Now, fermentation. So, fermentation it uses a renewable resource that is yeast and glucose. So, that is one of its advantages. Okay. So, we have option A and option B with the same options, renewable resources. In catalyzed addition reaction, which involves steam, so it is a continuous process. Okay. That is why option A is the correct answer. Carboxylic acid reacts with alcohols when warmed with an acid catalyst. Which type of substance is formed in this reaction? Now, when carboxylic acids react with alcohol, they always form ester. Nylon is formed by condensation polymerization. Which structure represents nylon? Now, nylon and protein have the similar bonding, that is amide linkage. Okay, so here we have amide linkage in this first option also. The second option is not correct. And we have amide linkage in this option, option C also. Okay. Now, here we have to observe that on both sides of this box, we have the same functional group. We should have the same functional group. So in option C, we have C double bond O, C double bond on both the sides, NH, NH on both the sides of the box. That is why option C is the correct diagram of nylon. Which structure represents the repeat unit of addition polymer formed by but1-ene? So when you observe all the options, here you can see option D is totally wrong. It is about ethene. In option C, again, we have only three carbon atoms here. Okay, but consists of four carbon atoms. Here in option B, yes, there are four carbon atoms, but they have given us that it is having a structure of but1-ene. So the double bond is present between first and second carbon atom. Okay, so it is option A, which is the correct one, where the double bond is present between these two. So if we put a double bond between these two carbon atoms, so we consider this first carbon, second carbon, okay, and this other two carbons. So there are total four carbons present here, and this is the first and second carbon between which we have a double bond. Okay, so this will be the correct option. 2 grams of powdered calcium carbonate is added to 50 centimeter cube of HCl. Which apparatus is used to measure these quantities of calcium carbonate and hydrochloric acid? Okay. Now, definitely we have to weigh something, so we need a balance. So pipette is of no use again because it is a powdered form. Okay. So option A and B have options balance. And next is adding hydrochloric acid. Definitely we use a pipette or a burette. So in this case, we are having burette and thermometer. So thermometer is used to measure the temperature. That is why that will be the wrong option. So option A is the correct one, where we will use balance to measure powdered calcium carbonate and burette to measure HCl. The diagram shows a chromatogram obtained from the colors of three different sweets X, Y, and Z. How many different red dyes are presented in the sweet? So we have here red, yellow, okay, two dyes present. So we have this one red, which is again present in sweet Z also, and we have another red which is at a different height. Okay, so we can see we have only two types of red dyes. So option B is the correct one. A mixture contains sand and an aqueous solution of sodium chloride. Which process are used to obtain a sample of solid sand and a sample of solid sodium chloride from the mixture? Crystallization followed by filtration, evaporation followed by filtration, filtration followed by crystallization, simple distillation followed by crystallization. So we are having the mixture of sand and aqueous NaCl. Now in this case, we know that sand does not mix with water. Okay, it is not soluble into water. So first what we can do is we can first of all filter the mixture. So sand will be removed and then we have only sodium chloride soluble into water. So we can perform crystallization. For that case, we will evaporate the water and we will get sodium chloride crystal. So option C is the correct option. A student tests an unknown compound M. The compound produces a lilac flame using a flame test, produces a gas which turns lime water cloudy when dilute HCl is added. Okay. Now lilac flame is a unique flame. Now we have different unique flames for all the metals. So lilac flame is unique for potassium. Okay. And second, we have a gas that turns lime water milky or lime water cloudy. So there is only one gas which is carbon dioxide. So here we have option D. So carbonates always produce CO2 and that is why option D is the correct option.